Kaushik,
Yes, ma'am.
do you follow current affairs?
Yes, ma'am.
What is Hindenburg report?
Yes, ma'am. Hindenburg is a firm that goes into investigative reporting about various companies and their accounting practices. With respect to India, it has been famous for its report on Adani company and their accounting practices. The last year, which it has released, ma'am, and it is famous because of its debilitating impact it had on the Indian stock market and the.
What is the report? What is inside the report? What's the actual contention of the report?
Ma'am, the actual accusations or the findings of the report were that Adani is resorting to certain kind of accounting malpractices, and it is overstating its profits, or else it is luring investors into investing money into a company which is not that capable of that investments. It is basically claiming that the accounting practices are not up to the standards of the.
Then what happened after the report? The report came 1 year back in January 2023. This is January 2024. What happened in the last 1 year with respect to Adani Hindenburg report?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, with respect to the report, the major things were the report was handled by the Indian government through use of judiciary as well as investigative agencies, and the SEBI taking a charge by investigating the accusations. So there have been the report has caused impact on the stock markets for sure, leading to immediate sell-off of Adani stocks as well as few other associated stocks, leading to fall of the stock market for certain period of time. And after that, ma'am, there were certain petitions filed in Supreme Court with respect to interventions as well as looking into the matter, and Supreme Court has ordered an inquiry by SEBI with respect to that recently, ma'am, to do an impartial inquiry into the findings of the report and come out with the true findings of the report.
India-Myanmar border is in news today.
Yes.
Why?
Ma'am, the border is in news because of two reasons, ma'am. One is the government taking decision with respect to ending of the free movement regime.
Why government took that decision? In fact, most of the tribals, they don't know the borders. They have family relations, marital relations, friendly relations in the neighborhood. Okay, then why we are stopping that now?
Ma'am, we are stopping that now on the basis of security reasons as well as reasons because the excess of population are coming and settling here, which was not the intention for which we have given the free movement regime. We only gave a clause of 40 days. I'm not exactly sure of the number of days, ma'am. We have allowed for a certain number of days to come and go back to the country.
Okay.
But
how many Indian states share border with Burma, Myanmar? And name them.
Yes, ma'am. It is Arunachal Pradesh. It is Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram. Yes, ma'am. Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, ma'am.
So, what is NSCN-IM issue? What is the demand of NSCN?
Ma'am, the NSCM calls for a separate state of Nagaland.
Nagalim.
Greater Nagalim. They call for a secession.
They also want a part of Myanmar.
Myanmar.
Okay. So, what are the present trends in India-Burma relations?
Ma'am, the present trends include the recent free movement regime issue as well as Myanmar has been facing the crisis of lack of democratically elected government, and India has been managing its ties in a diplomatic manner, giving a silent. India has been carefully observing the developments that are taking place in Myanmar, along with the other issue being the Rohingya crisis, which we are closely monitoring again. So India is taking a balancing approach with respect to dealing with the military regime that is present in the Myanmar.
Kaushik, what is Article 200 of Indian Constitution?
Ma'am, it is with respect to governors giving assent to the bills passed.
Do you have any time frame for the governor to give assent?
No, ma'am.
What is the wording in Article 200?
Ma'am, it mentions as soon as possible.
Okay. Do you think that Article 200 to be amended? Should be amended?
Ma'am, while amendment is one solution to the issue, we can also make sure that governors be impartial.
How come?
Ma'am,
without amendment, how you can make sure? If you see in Tamil Nadu, if you see Telangana, Kerala, Punjab, in most of the states, the same thing, governor sitting on the bills.
Ma'am, this is only possible if the governor truly plays the constitutionally
How come?
given role.
How? Governor is a political appointee after all.
Yes, ma'am. So the solution can be in the appointment process by making it non-political.
The solution should be in the appointment process.
Yes, ma'am. One solution can be amending the article itself.
Do you support IAS officers, IPS officers being appointed as governors? Can it be a solution? Rather than political leaders being appointed as governors, IAS and IPS officers?
Ma'am, even appointing IAS and IPS officers, if it is done on the basis of favoritism or else or certain political biases displayed by the officers during their career, then I won't support it, ma'am. But if it is done on true merits of the IAS officers' capabilities or their career record and their performance metrics, then I would support it, ma'am.
Rule 6 of IAS rules, it was in news last year. Why?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not aware of.
You know that?
No, ma'am.
You know?
No, ma'am.
Okay, check it out.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's a very big news. Everyone knows that.
I'll read about it.
Okay. What is lateral entry? What is lateral entry? Do you support it?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, lateral entry is the provision that allows for people who have worked in other domains like public sector to work in the private sector to work in the public sector. So, ma'am, it has
Public
both.
sector or?
Ma'am, those who have worked in private sector can work in public sector after gaining certain experience in private sector. Ma'am, it has both pros and cons, but overall, if you take the pros overweighing the cons, I would support lateral entry.
You would support lateral entry?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that the people who come to the service through lateral entry, they lack loyalty to the government.
Ma'am, I would like to disagree with you on that, ma'am. If we see, there have been successful examples like Nandan Nilekani, who has been constantly contributing to various public initiatives. So we can't generalize this phenomenon.
What is the specialist journalist controversy with respect to civil services?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, a specialist is one who has domain expertise in a particular subject matter, and he comes with detailed analysis and detailed knowledge, in-depth knowledge about that particular matter, and he would be able to provide curated solutions to a particular issue. But a generalist would consider all the aspects beyond that particular matter and the impact this particular specialized decision would take. So a generalist is someone who can analyze a issue from multiple dimensions and who has a general awareness about multiple issues. So this is.
Do you want specialists to be in the civil services or journalists?
Ma'am, it should be a combination of both, ma'am.
A combination of both?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, in career graph of an IAS officer, few years you work in rural development, another few years you work in education, after that you work in IT. See, actually if you see the entire career ladder, there will be 15 or 20 departments you are going to work if you get selected as an IAS officer.
Yes, ma'am.
According to me, domain expertise is more important than regular transfers.
Yes, ma'am.
For example, if you are good at IT,
yes,
why don't you be continued in IT for the next 5 years, 7 years?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there have been certain committee recommendations as well who have called for domain expertise and promoting this trend of giving certain training to officers in that particular domain where they have shown interest or where their capabilities lie. So we can definitely experiment with this aspect of domain expertise, ma'am.
Kaushik, you have done your BE.
Yes, ma'am.
In Usman University.
Yes, ma'am.
How does the name Usmania have come from?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Usmania has come from the name Mir Usman Ali Khan, who has initiated the construction and the establishment of the university, ma'am.
Okay. Then you have done your MBA also?
Yes, ma'am.
MBA from?
Ma'am, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Delhi, ma'am.
Okay. Explain the important features of foreign trade policy.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the recent foreign trade policy has four main objectives, ma'am, which is providing incentives to export and also promoting ease of doing business with respect to promotion of exports and also focusing upon emerging areas like e-commerce and also rationalizing trade in products or services. Along with this, ma'am, we have introduced certain other schemes and also.
Do you know that USA have filed case against India's export promoting schemes and won the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you name the export promoting schemes which were cancelled because of that case?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it is a merchandise export scheme, as well as merchandise export from India scheme and service exports from India scheme, ma'am.
Right.
And
Any
that
other
has
scheme? There are, I think there is a very big list of schemes, not just two or
yes,
three.
ma'am. These are the major schemes
And
which
America
government.
filed a case against India that India is showing favoritism,
Yes, ma'am. It has.
protectionism.
Yes, ma'am.
So, so how WTO rules are affecting international trade of developing world?
Ma'am, while WTO rules have positive impact for developing world by giving access to developed markets as well as certain protective measures for developing countries from the goods that are coming from developed markets. On the other hand, they are also affecting the developing world because developed countries and their high logistics or else technological expertise and their high value and low cost products are entering into developing countries, and also we are having to open our markets to extreme competition from developed country companies, which when entering into our market will put the domestic industries at a disadvantaged position. So in this way it is having both positive as well as negative impacts, ma'am.
Nice. You have the hobby of traveling.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you travel?
Ma'am, it is a combination of places, but my most preferred destinations are mountains and hills, ma'am.
Okay. Kilimanjaro.
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
it is located?
Ma'am, it is located in Kenya, ma'am.
What is the height of Kilimanjaro?
Ma'am, I'm not aware of it, ma'am. I'll have to check up on it, ma'am.
So you love to travel generally to hill stations and mountains?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which other hill stations you have traveled?
Ma'am, I have been to Spiti Valley.
Where it is located?
Ma'am, it is located in the Lahore and Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh. And I've been to Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh, and also Ooty was my recent travel in Nilgiri Hills.
Okay.
Uh,
What is your optional?
my optional is sociology, ma'am.
So what made you to take sociology after studying MBA in international trade?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there were multiple reasons. The first reason was
Tell the truth.
yes, ma'am.
I don't want
Yes,
parroted answer.
ma'am. The major reason was that I wanted to complete the syllabus in a shorter span because I was also working and I wanted to select.
Where you are working here?
I was working in Capgemini, ma'am.
Okay. You are employed.
Yes,
Right
ma'am.
now you are working.
No, ma'am. I quit before the prelims, ma'am. 1 week before the prelims. So that was the reason, and I also wanted to select a subject which has overlap so that I can reduce my time with respect to studying my MBA subjects.
Nice. Yes. Which thinker you like in sociology?
Ma'am, I like Durkheim.
Okay. What do you like in him?
Ma'am, his approach to sociology, which he initiated for the discipline, that is selecting a scientific approach and giving sociology a scientific orientation, which gave the direction to sociology in the initial time. And
Tell that Kim's contribution to sociology.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, he has done major contributions by defining the scope of sociology, that is to study on certain social facts. And secondly, ma'am, he has also favored use of methods of natural sciences or else scientific disciplines, so that sociology will be a scientific discipline, or else which will give sociology more credibility and more acceptance, because it was the time of socio-currents wherein people were favoring natural sciences. And also, ma'am, he has analyzed various subject matters or various social phenomena which were earlier considered to be a part of other subjects. For example, division of labor, which was in economics, or else suicide, which was a personal and psychological phenomenon. Even religion, which was considered to be a scope of theology, he has even analyzed that from sociological perspective. So these are the major contributions, ma'am.
Done. Kaushik, your mock is over.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.